You are now watching the Ball and Beats podcast.
And welcome back to another episode of the Ball and Beats podcast. It is episode 131. We've done 131 of these. Hard to believe. I just remember one, and I remember being in that little podcast studio. Today I am joined by a special guest. I am joined by Mr. Eric D. Laney.
Hello. Honored to be here.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm always good. I work with Mr. Eric D. Laney, and
I'm his boss.
He's my
I'm his
boss. Well, boss.
Yeah.
But yeah, Logan's not with me today. The boys are up in Cleveland cheering on the Rockets. Shout out the Rockets, by the way. Both the men's and the women's won their quarterfinal games. The women will play Buffalo tomorrow, and the men will be playing Akron tomorrow. By the time this comes out, those games will already be out, and the Rockets will know their decision on if they won or not. But at the time of this recording, the Rockets are 2-0, men's and women's, in the tournament. So hopefully all the best up there. But today we have a big episode. If you love the sport of baseball, and I know both me and you do, it's our fastball, if you want to say, little thing there. But we will get to March Madness next week. We'll have a big March Madness thing as the March Madness first round starts next Thursday. We will be sure to have coverage of all that and be giving you previews of all the games, more on NFL free agency next week, as well as things are mostly wrapped up in NFL free agency. A lot of good moves, a lot of terrible moves, and a lot of money to go around. So we'll get to that next week. But we are going to give everybody our MLB predictions for this season. We are going to run through all 30 MLB teams, and we're going to go to a quick overview for each one. We're going to say our predictions for each division. We're going to give our playoff prediction, World Series winners. We're going to give our World Series and our winner, I should say. So,
the whole thing.
Starting out, and arguably one of the best divisions in baseball, but it's regressing a little bit, the AL East. The American League East this year is projected to have a few good teams, in my opinion. I have the Baltimore Orioles winning the division. I think the Orioles are the best team. They're the youngest team, and I think they're the best up-and-coming team. Kind of had a rough up-and-down year last year, but at the end of the day, they made it, the playoffs. Wildcard teams, I have the Boston Red Sox, who made a few good moves in the offseason, and the Toronto Blue Jays. I feel that the Toronto Blue Jays, they need a year where they need to push through, and this is the last year, in my opinion. We'll get to this in the overview once we get done with our predictions of the AL East. The Blue Jays need to push through, and they're going to lose Bo Bichette and Vladdy most likely after this season. I don't think they're going to trade him. I think they're going to try to push it away, maybe try to work something out. They try to get a contract going with Vladdy, I know, this past offseason.
Pretty far apart.
And they are very far apart. Vladdy wants a lot of money.
Apart.
And Toronto doesn't want to give it. I don't understand that, because Vladimir Guerrero Jr., he was supposed to be like a superstar. He hasn't been a superstar, but he's still a damn good baseball player.
He's a great player. He definitely regressed last year. Definitely
yes.
Huge regret, and that's the Blue Jays in general last year. They
regress.
Bo Bichette definitely let it. He was kind of let down. He got it going later in the season, but
yep.
I could see them, definitely making the strides to get going to. They might make a playoff push. I personally, I don't have them quite there.
What are your predictions? Who wins the division?
I agree with you with the Orioles. I think they're, they got Charlie Morton to kind of be the veteran of the staff. He did wonders for the Braves the past few years. He's a great veteran leader. Adley Rutschman, they, like you were saying, they kind of up and down, but he's in my opinion, he's an absolute stud. Absolute superstar.
He might be one of the best catchers, if not the best catcher in baseball.
I would have him, probably number one. And up and coming, he's young, great team. I think the Orioles, they once they get their pitching going, and I think Morton, he's not going to be an absolute stud for him, but he's going to.
He's a solid reliever. It's not a reliever. He's a solid starter. I mean, every year for the Braves, I mean, he's like, what, 39?
He's 39. I think he's 40.
He might be 40. But he always has like a 3.35 ERA, which at age 40 is pretty good.
I believe, I can't remember the exact stat, but through his age 30 season, he only had, I don't think he had 1,000 strikeouts. And since then, I think he just hit almost 3,000. Or not 3,000, I think 2,000 mark. And and that's a guy coming from age 30 to 40. Like
Yes, that's the later stages of your career.
and his fastball still has a lot of zip.
Still
a lot of life.
95, 98.
Oh, he's 97 and 98.
Yeah.
Tops.
He still got it up there.
Oh yeah.
No, for sure. Do you have any wild card teams from the AL East?
I've got the Red Sox, who made some big moves in my opinion, and along with the Yankees. I think the Yankees, despite losing Garrett Cole, that's a big loss for their rotation. I think that lineup with the addition of, I know he's older, but I think Goldschmidt, I think he's going to find his swing again, along with Bellinger and that short porch. I think that's a match made in heaven. And coming from a son of a Yankee, I think he's going to.
Really?
I think
a Yankees fan.
I believe his dad played for the Yankees.
Oh.
Back in the 90s. But Max Fried.
Your boy.
It's sad to see him go as a Braves fan, but he's.
I don't think he's worth the amount of money he got.
Definitely overpay. I don't think he's played a full season in quite some time, a couple years. But when he's on, and that curveball's devastating.
Yeah, so that moves me to our storylines, or we're going to go with the overviews of the AL East for each team, starting with the Yankees. And I just have 4 words that say Yankees in panic mode, ? They didn't get Juan Soto. They lost Garrett Cole for the season, and their ace. Their pitching staff is not great. They still have Carlos Rodon. They lost Nestor Cortez, or I think Milwaukee. I think he's with the Brewers now. And Garrett Cole was supposed to be their ace, and he was their best pitcher. Now, and I don't think Luis Gil is even healthy. I think he's banged up too as well. So the Yankees pitching staff is not going to be good to start out the year. And while yes, they do have Aaron Judge as well, who Aaron Judge will probably hit 55 home runs. He'll be Aaron Judge in that short porch there at Yankee Stadium. I do like the addition of Cody Bellinger. I think that'll really help them out in the outfield. And Paul Goldschmidt, I do think, can have something still in him. He's a guy I thought the Tigers might go after. He could have been cheap, older player. But he just had an MVP year, I think, like 2-3 years ago with the Cardinals. It was either in 21 or 22. He won the NL MVP, and he had like 130-some RBIs. He had an insane year with the Cardinals.
He went off.
I think it was 2022, but I can't completely remember.
Yeah, he went off.
Do you think the Yankees are at all in panic mode?
A little bit. I think there's going to be. I don't know if they got. I'm not deep into their prospect pool, but there's definitely a lot of panic. It honestly comes down to their big addition this year and Max Fried, and how will he perform with the lights?
Yep.
The New York lights.
He
the
has
media.
to be their ace.
Yeah, he's got no choice, and I've seen him. He's capable of doing it. He just got to stay healthy. But he's definitely someone who, when I'll never forget that Game 6 2021 World Series first inning, he got his ankle stepped on, and
I do remember that. Yep.
He played through it. He pitched. He gave a solid 6 innings. Unreal performance.
He was their ace before Strider, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
I was gonna say the early 20. When was Strider's rookie year?
Strider's broke out in 22. 20.
So like 18, 19, 20. It was Max Fried.
It was Max Fried and Charlie Morton were the two big guys. Along with Ian Anderson and but we'll get into him later.
For me, the Yankees are in panic mode. I think that they need a lot. They're really banged up, and I think you just have better teams in the AL East right now. Moving on to Baltimore, to both of our division winners. They're not going to have Grayson Rodriguez, their ace, for the first month. He's dealing with some shoulder issues. They put him on the IR already. He's not going to be ready for opening day, and probably won't get ready till late April, early May, is what some Oriole beat writer wrote. And the same thing that we talked about Adley Rutschman. Is he going to regress? Now, he didn't regress a ton, but in 2022, he was unbelievable. 2023, he was unreal. 24, he goes a little banged up, didn't start all the games, and then he had his average dropped a little bit, didn't have as many RBIs, and home runs dropped a little bit. I don't think he's going to regress, to be honest with you. I think to me, he's the best catcher in baseball.
Oh, he's going to break out for sure.
He's played unbelievable, and this Orioles team is just filled with talent, young talent. You got Jackson Holiday. I
think
mean,
it's gonna be
Gunnar
a big year.
Henderson, who's already up there for one of the best infielders in the game.
I'd say top 3.
Oh, easily. With Bobby Witt, another
Yep,
guy that we'll
yep.
talk about later. This Orioles team is very, very good. My main question with the Orioles is their starting pitching staff. Grayson Rodriguez and then a bunch of I think losing Corbin Burns is going to really hurt them because Corbin Burns pitched outstanding for the Orioles last year. And I think with him going to Arizona, it's going to hurt Baltimore because they didn't really do much in order to kind of rekindle a really good starting 5. So with Grayson Rodriguez out, somebody has to step up.
Yes, and with that, like I said, we're talking. That's where Charlie Morton comes in.
Yep.
I'm never a fan of. It's tough for pitchers to come in, mid-season, early in the season. They're already behind the ball.
Yep.
They've missed spring training.
Your spring training is essentially in the season.
So basically, they have to tread water until about the All-Star break.
Yep.
And that's when pitchers at that point, about 2-3 months in, they really start to
get going.
Yes, and they find their groove. So, and that's when Rodriguez will start to find that, I believe.
Yep.
But it's about keeping pace up until then, and I think with that lineup, Gunnar Henderson
is unbelievable.
Easily, an MVP candidate.
Easily, yeah.
I think Jackson Holliday. I think
had a rough year last year, but he's very young.
I think you're.
I think I'm older than him.
You are older than him, which is wild, absolutely wild. And there's another Holliday up and coming too.
Is there?
Yes, I think he's like 7th high school still, but.
Well, Tigers need a shortstop.
Yeah.
We'll get to them later.
Yeah, right.
But, I think Baltimore's going to be fine. Like I said, the pitching staff's going to be a question, but I think they have too good of an offense to where their pitching staff can be average, and their offense can kind of like carry them, kind of the opposite of the Tigers, to where Grayson Rodriguez, he comes in May, and then by the dog days of summer, when you hit July, I think he's really going to start going because he has a fantastic fastball, and his curveball works well as well, and this Orioles pitching staff needs that. My next team I want to talk about is the Tampa Bay Rays. Well, Tampa Bay, quote unquote.
Yes.
I literally just said dumpster fire, but a very good farm system. Tampa Bay always develops their players well. The problem is they don't keep them. They never pay them, and the one dude they paid, he did some not great things off the field.
Yeah.
He's not in the sport of baseball, and he probably won't ever be again.
No.
So the Rays are going to be. They're going to be bad, but the problem is I don't think they're going to be terrible. I think they're going to be 70 to 75 wins, maybe max at 80, because they still have like some pieces. I think Brandon Lowe is still there. McClellan, their ace is still very good. But Tampa Bay, they're in way too good of a division. They didn't do much in free agency because they don't spend.
Little to nothing.
They're going to be playing in the Yankees spring training. It's their spring training stadium, correct? Or is it their single A stadium?
I believe it's.
They're playing in a Yankees stadium.
Yeah.
In the Yankee system, which is, if not the most embarrassing thing I've ever seen of in my life, if not for the Athletics, because I can't call them Oakland anymore. Tampa Bay's a mess. They have a lot of things to figure out, but they have a very good farm system. I think they're ranked 2nd in baseball. So they're going to have prospects coming up, but will they be in Nashville by then?
Right. The Nashville Stars as they.
Ooh, that'd be a good one.
Right. That's supposedly the expansion team name that I've seen some.
That'd be good. I like that.
Right. I mean, when your big free agent signings Ha-Sung Kim, it's it's going to be a rough year, but somehow the Rays are one of those teams that I think despite not having the flashy names, they somehow win games.
Yep.
And they
always win around 80.
Yeah. Which is
and they went to the World Series 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It was the COVID year, but they still win.
Which is it's something, but they didn't have really any big names back then either.
No.
I mean, you had a great pitching staff.
You had Adames before he was anything. Your best player was probably Blake Snell, which they should have kept in, by the way, and I think it was Game 6.
And, they had great pitching staff.
Yes, they always have a good pitching staff. The problem is they don't pay their players. When their arbitration's up, they let them go, or they try to trade them. And I will say this: they're very good at trading.
Yes,
you will get anybody. I mean, the Tigers traded Isaac Paredes to Tampa Bay for Austin Meadows. Who was Austin Meadows? Hey, yeah, he had 100 RBIs a few years ago. Where's he at now? Nobody knows.
Yeah.
But they're really good acquiring talent and developing, they're terrible at paying. They don't pay. The one time they paid, not great things happen, and he's not going to play baseball anymore. But Tampa Bay's got a lot of things to figure out. But they'll probably win 75 games.
Yeah, I could see them hovering around the 500 level.
Yep.
They definitely, it's a tough division. It's a stacked division. So there's not a snowball's chance in hell that they're going to sniff the top of it.
No way.
But I mean, I could see them hovering around the 500 mark, 82 wins.
Yep.
Not much better than that. They're
not making a wild card. They're not.
Yeah. I mean,
unless the American League is so bad this year. Like, they would have to be historically bad, like the wild card teams.
Yes, which I think when looking at it, the NL's, National League is...
The NL's so much better.
Well above the...
You're going to have wild card teams with 90-plus wins.
Yes.
And the AL, 85.
Yeah.
The same thing as last year. I mean, you had the Tigers and the Royals who had 86 wins. So...
Right, which is, barely scraping by in the National League.
Exactly. Next team, the Boston Red Sox. They did a lot of acquiring, and I really like this team's rotation. They have Garrett Crochet, who they acquired from the White Sox. Tanner Hoek, I really like him. He's a very, very good. He was their best pitcher, but now he has to be the second guy. I think Crochet is going to be the ace.
Crochet
I think he has the higher upside. Walker Buehler, who could end up being he was good in L.A., and then the last few years he's kind of fell off. I think he just needs a good pitching coach to kind of reel him in, and he got a 1-year deal. I think it's really going to work out for Walker Buehler because he still has sub-3 ERA stuff in him, I think. He just has to find it. And Lucas Giolito, who is hurt.
He's hurt.
But he will be back 2 months into the season. So, and then obviously they got Alex Bregman, who the Tigers, of course, didn't get.
Nope.
So
we can't get the big names.
We now have Al Kaline playing third again because we have no one else. So, yeah, I really like this Boston Red Sox team. They have a really solid starting line. The Rafael Devers and Alex Bregman saga is really dumb to me. Rafael Devers has never been a very good defensive third baseman. In fact, he is one of the worst in baseball in defensive efficiency. And I think Bregman is a Gold Glove winner over there. Now, Devers isn't going to move because he has too much pride. He's been the third baseman there for so many years. But they also have Jaron Duran. They have Tristan Casas. They have pieces in Boston.
And they're a young squad, too.
They're a very young squad. And they have Roman Anthony, the #1 prospect in baseball, an outfielder. So Boston's going to be very good, and I really like this pitching staff.
Yeah, their relief pitching is great, too, when you got Liam Hendricks, he's older, but he's always been a solid back end bullpen guy.
Yep.
You got their rotation from it's when healthy, and I think Walker Buehler, and like I say, he's had some health issues. Tommy John, I believe.
Yep.
But last year, when it came to October in LA, he shone bright, and that's all you can all ask for at that point is you just need someone who will show up when the lights are the brightest. That you could count on them to show up.
Yep.
And so I think he seemed to really find his groove back last month or two of the season.
Yep.
And I think he will build off of that, and I think he's going to be a front end guy that they paid him to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's someone who I think will be kind of taking the reins. Garrett Crochet, young, unhittable.
25, I think.
Yes, his stuff is nasty.
He was the only bright spot of the White Sox last year.
The only, yep. And why they let him go to, or it was a trade they got him.
Yep.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it would have been smart for the White Sox to trade him mid-season, but I digress.
The trade deadline, when they could have gotten
the White Sox
a ton
are
of
White
stuff
Sox
for him. Yes.
But Garrett Crochet, huge guy to bring into the rotation. Rafael Devers, probably the most underrated hitter at the plate. He's unreal.
He's a very good hitter. I know I said he wasn't a good defensively. He is a very, very good
MVP caliber.
Yeah.
He reminds me a lot of go back to the Braves. Austin Riley, where he's sneaky good.
Is he better than Austin Riley?
I honestly, he might
Hitting.
be. Hitting wise, I think.
And defensive wise, it's Austin Riley.
Yes. And he's made big strides.
Yes.
Defensively. But hitting, I think, honestly, as great as Riley is, Rafael Devers, I think he just a touch above him. He's someone who I think is, as long as he's in the league, he'll be a perennial top 10 MVP guy.
Yes. And lastly, the Toronto Blue Jays, who have a lot of question marks at the end of this year. A wild card team, in my opinion. I think they're just going to push hard. They still have Jose Barrios, who's getting a little older, but he's pitching very, very well for them. He's still their ace. But Toronto's got a lot of question marks. They need to pay Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Yes, no doubt.
They need to stop being cheap, and I don't think they end up doing it. I think I think both him and Bo go to free agency. Bo Bichette's gone. Yes. I don't think that's any question. They have no intention of signing Bo Bichette, who didn't really have a great year last year. But he has to get back to his strides because he's due for a solid contract because that player is still in him that he had 100 RBIs a few years ago.
And it's a walk year, so he's going to want to perform.
Yep. But it's an aging roster as well. They have Vladdy is 26 and so is Bo, but I mean they still have George Springer, Dalton Varsho is almost 30. They have a lot of aging players, and I think for Toronto, this has to be the year they push. I think at the trade deadline, if they are hovering the wild card, they're gonna just go for it. They're gonna trade for whoever's available, whatever piece on the bullpen, starting pitching, or maybe a piece in the starting nine. But they need to do this year because this is it.
Yeah, it's make or break for.
Because after this, they need to rebuild.
Yes.
If they don't sign either of these guys.
Yeah, and when you're in the AL East with the money pit of New York and Boston, like you got to spend money to compete.
Yep.
And they have been reluctant. I mean, they seem to always be in the conversation for the big names.
Yep.
I remember Shohei.
Yep. I remember they were in the conversation for him. He flew to Toronto.
Yes, allegedly.
Like
flight.
Yeah. Who knows if that was real or not? But
yeah. But I mean, they always think. I mean, I heard that Juan Soto tossed around in there. I mean, it seems like a team that's
trying. They seem like they're just trying to pay the wrong players.
Or it's
just re-sign Vladdy, and maybe you'll get another piece of talent.
Or it's Scott Boras just likes to throw around a third team in there just to keep the bidding war up.
Yeah, because why not? That's what he did with Bregman.
And he doesn't know any other team to throw in there but Toronto. But I mean, Anthony Santander, I think he's going to be a big piece in their outfield. Yep. I think he's going to. He's going to be a guy that they're going to rely on.
Baltimore. Another guy the Orioles lost.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, they got Jimenez from Cleveland, who
Andres Jimenez. Yep.
One
of the best Gold Glove second baseman available.
Great defender. You know, it'd be great.
Okay hitter. I mean, he hits around 270. He doesn't hit any. He barely hits any home runs. He has no power.
Yeah,
but
no.
He's a slap hitter.
Yeah, he'll get on base.
Reminds me of Jose Iglesias.
Yes, he's someone you want to get on base, the high on base percentage, go score a lot of runs, and I think him and Bo up the middle will be a great double play team.
Oh yeah, that's that's gonna be really good.
And you got Max Scherzer, veteran guy who's hungry.
I forgot he went there.
Yes, and I guess he's already kind of banged up a little bit.
He's so old.
He is.
He should be done.
He's just got that fire in him.
He wants
the
one
dude
more.
is. Yes, he wants one more.
He wants one more.
I don't know if he's gonna, if he picked the right team, but
Yeah, no.
I think it's just the only team that would.
The only team that probably would pay him the money he wanted.
Yes,
so, and it was a 1-year deal.
And the Blue Jays knew they needed a name, outside of Santander to sign, so they definitely went with a splashy name, despite being ancient.
Every fifth day.
Yep, Scherz Day.
So, all right, so that's our AL East predictions and our overview. Next, we're going to talk about the AL Central. My division winner, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to say the Tigers. The AL Central is not good. This is not good.
No.
They actually got worse, which is crazy.
Yeah,
they had 3 teams make the playoffs last year. Last year, the Central was supposed to be a god-awful division where the Twins just run away with it.
Yeah.
The Guardians ended up winning it. They came out of nowhere, and they traded one of their best players. 2 of them, actually. So I have the Tigers winning it. I really like what the Tigers did. Now, it sucks they don't have Bregman, and third base is going to be a big question mark. They need Jace Young to pan out, or I know Javi Baez is playing third base.
Which is wild.
But their outfield is very, very good. It's a very underrated outfield. Riley Green is hitting the ball right. He's hitting great. Kerry Carpenter is playing fantastic right now. Parker Meadows is hurt, but he should be back for opening day. Torkelson's hitting over a 1.05 OPS right now. It makes no sense. Torkelson's batting out of his mind. Casey Mize is throwing scoreless innings. Like all these number 1 overall picks are finally deciding to do something for once. So we'll see if it ends up happening. I think the Tigers get it together. I see like 85 to 90 wins, probably closer to 85. They have a very underrated bullpen. They added some pieces to that, so I really like what the Tigers did. Losing Bregman sucks, but you got to find a way around that. Wild card teams, I have the Kansas City Royals making it. I really like what I love Jonathan India to the Royals at that second base spot.
Yeah.
Him and Bobby Witt Jr. up the middle are fantastic in my opinion.
Yeah. What kind of Jonathan India we are going to get?
That's true. Jonathan India, he was very good in the early parts of Cincinnati. The last few years,
he's kind of and hasn't done anything
down.
Since.
Nope.
He hasn't done anything since his rookie year.
So
but I think a change of scenery will do him good.
Yeah, so I really like what they did. Now they lost Brady Singer, but they re-signed Cole Raggins. Their bullpen is very, 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 very good. And Vinny Pasquantino, I think, is going to have a very good year. MJ Melendez has been very good out there in left field. Kyle Isbell has been up and down. I think the Royals are going to. I think the Royals are going to be good. And obviously, Bobby Witt, in my opinion, is the best shortstop in baseball. He deserved all the money he got from the Royals, and he's going to be a superstar for a long time. And he's only 24.
He's my pick to win AL MVP this year.
He's unbelievable. So those are my predictions. What do you got?
I'm going. I agree with the Royals. I have them actually win the division. I had them.
Yep, I can see it.
I predicted them last year to win it as well.
Yep.
I'm going to disagree with you on the Tigers. I think they are too young. Last year, great story, absolute fluke.
You think it was a fluke?
when you have a 0.2% chance of making the playoffs, and
you're
somehow,
saying a 38-11 run in almost in
yes.
49 games is a fluke?
Yes.
Kidding me?
I think those young guys, I don't think they can. They're hungry. Don't get me wrong, they're hungry, and they might surprise me. This division is a crapshoot. It literally, there's 4 teams that I can see either one of those 4 teams.
No, the White Sox have zero.
No,
actually, have negative shot to win the division.
And we don't even need to get into the White Sox at all. Like it's a joke of a franchise.
For the White Sox, I just said there is no hope for the White Sox.
And
that's my overview.
There is one name still out there that I think would be a great veteran presence for the Detroit Tigers, and that is Anthony Rizzo.
Oh,
I think
I forgot he wasn't signed.
You need someone who's been there before. Older guy. He's definitely
not like great anymore, but he can be decent.
No, he's a clubhouse guy.
Yeah.
You need someone who's going to take the reins and lead, and I think Anthony Rizzo could be that guy. Torkelson.
He's not starting at first. It's Colt Keith.
It's a Colt Keith. Yes, that's what. Yeah.
Yeah, Torkelson. If anything, maybe he plays third. I don't know. They're probably going to try out like a bunch of different guys out at third base.
Yeah, and I can see a few trips from some of those guys to Toledo and back. We could be seeing him down here at fifth, third.
Yep. Justin Henry Malloy will be going up and down, just like Andy Ibanez and all those fun
Matt
stuff.
Manning, I think they just decided to designate him for.
He's terrible.
Yeah,
he's one of the biggest busts of the Al Avila.
Yeah, but you got Jack Flaherty, who
that's my favorite signing.
Yeah,
because he wanted to come back,
which is
and
amazing.
That shows a lot.
Yeah, he saw what happened after. I'm not saying he's the reason for them to, get hot, but
yeah,
no, obviously
he had a sub-3 ERA with the Tigers.
Yeah,
it's completely fine with me. Next to the best pitcher in baseball, I'll take it as the number 2 guy.
Absolutely. Tariq Skubal, enough said. I think he repeats Cy Young. I could definitely see that happening with Flaherty right behind him. That's a great 1-2 tandem.
It is,
and it didn't.
Starting pitching is going to be elite for the Tigers. Reese Olson has been very, very good, a very underrated pitcher. Jackson Jobe, we'll see what happens with him. And Casey Mize is. He's throwing scoreless innings in spring training. He's playing the best baseball of his career. So
they're saying, he's starting to put it together.
Yeah, so we'll see if that splitter that he threw in college ends up working out for him. So storylines, kind of like we just talked about, was last year a fluke for Detroit or sign of things to come? I think it was a little bit of both. I think the Tigers are on the trajectory of up. I think they do need to spend some money
They do.
next offseason, and there's no question about it. But the funniest thing is the Tigers have the highest payroll in the division right now.
Which is absolutely
Which
wild
is
to me.
absolutely ridiculous because I think they're like 24th or 23rd.
Yeah, it's-
everybody's cheap in this division.
It is. Yeah, I mean, you got the Guardians who did next to nothing this offseason.
They got worse.
Yeah, they did.
The Guardians got worse.
mean-
That's my next thing. Can the Guardians rebound after losing Josh Naylor and Andres Jimenez, two key pieces of their run? Josh Naylor hit for over 30 home runs and 100 RBIs last year. I don't understand why they let him go.
Yeah.
I get it. For second base, you have Travis Bazana, who's the number 1 pick last year. He's going to fill Andres Jimenez's spot, not this year, maybe next year. It doesn't make any sense. And the Josh Naylor stuff, like, okay, Kyle Manzardo, maybe he files in there. I don't know. But he had a terrible playoff run. I'll say that.
Yes.
Naylor was hitting like 120 in the playoffs. But so was Jose Ramirez. They didn't trade him.
Exactly.
So,
Who's another
it was David Fry and
Noel?
Yeah, and
Big Christmas, or-
Junksy Noel. Yeah, and Stephen Kwan as well. Stephen Kwan hit
he's-
like 450
he's
in
the
the series
closest-
against the Tigers. He hit every single time. He's one of those pesky hitters.
He's
but
the closest to Ichiro we have, besides
my-
the loose Arias.
He's unbelievable. He's such a good player, but he's so annoying because it's always
Yes.
bloop singles, but he always finds a way to get on base.
Which is, in this day and age, bloop and a blast. That's what wins
Yep.
ball games
Yep.
anymore.
My next team that I want to go over, I said sort of like the Tigers. Can the Royals continue their ascension, or was last year a fluke as well? Adding Jonathan India is big. I think he can be good. He had like 65 RBIs and 15 home runs. Not like great, but average. I think he needs to have a much bigger year with Kansas City, or maybe the Royals look at someone else. Because the second base market is very big right now. Pitching is a little bit of a question with the loss of Singer, but they still have Cole Ragans, which I think is really, really helps them. And they have one of the best bullpens in baseball.
That's the story of the Central.
The Central, I mean, there's good except the White Sox. We're not even going to count the White Sox as part of the division.
Yeah.
They might win the exact amount of games last year, which was, 41?
Embarrassing.
It's ridiculous.
It's a shame
I
in
watch
baseball.
terrible baseball, and my Tigers fandom, actually for the longest time, I've only been used to bad baseball. This White Sox team is a new level of terrible. But the Royals, yeah, one of the best bullpens in baseball, and when you have Bobby Witt, you have a shot.
Yes, yeah. As long as Bobby Witt's on your team, you're going to win some ball games.
Yep.
He's, like I said, he's my pick to win AL MVP, followed by a sneaky guy who I think's forgotten about in the AL West, but we'll get to him when we get.
Oh, okay.
I'll
be the next division.
But yeah, I mean, this, like I said, this division, it's I can see any of those 4 teams having a good shot.
Exactly. Any of the 4 teams have a shot.
No, I don't think I don't see a wild card for any of them.
Nope.
It's all or
Last
nothing.
year it might have been a fluke. May a little bit of a fluke, or maybe it was just the ascension of young teams, the Royals and the Tigers. The Guardians are a young team as well, but they trade away all their good players.
Yeah,
So I mean,
another team doesn't spend money.
yeah, and at the end of the day, I mean, the Yankees just blasted them last year in the ALCS. So the next team, can the Twins rebound after a tough season, or is it time for a rebuild in the Twin Cities? Their best players are getting old. I know Royce Lewis is the one player I will leave exempt because he's very good. He can't stay healthy. He's hurt all the time. Same with Byron Buxton. Byron Buxton has a big problem of staying healthy. Ryan Jeffers, a very solid catcher, getting older, and he also is a very big problem of staying healthy. This whole Twins team collapsed like I've never seen a team collapse last year. They were in first place for the longest time, and then something just happened where they're like, we don't want to play anymore. We want to go to Cancun. And that's exactly what they did. They played the worst baseball I've ever seen. They lost to the Marlins twice, to the Marlins of last year.
They just need to win one,
They just need to win one, and they would have had it. But they played absolutely terrible, and at the end of the day, this Twins team, in my opinion, you can still get some value from Byron Buxton. You can still get some value from some of these players. You need to rebuild. Don't trade Royce Lewis unless he gets hurt again this year.
Yeah.
Like that, because if at that point it's like, okay, you need to get a different change of scenery, or the physicians in Minnesota are not doing their job.
Yeah, something.
The medical doctors or whatever. Yeah, I fully believe that the Twins kind of need to go into a rebuild. I think it's time. We've been a long ways from Max Kepler, who is not in Minnesota anymore. I think he's did he go to the Brewers or the Giants? I can't remember where Kepler. I can't remember where Kepler went, but he's gone.
He went to the Phillies.
Oh, okay, all right.
He went to the Phillies.
Not bad. But he's getting older as well. He also got hurt with the Twins. It's a team that it's a lot of what ifs. There's a lot of ifs with the Twins. The Twins could have they could be the best team in the division.
They could.
They really could. They have a solid pitching staff. Nothing great. But this team could easily win the division. The problem is I have no trust in their manager after last year.
No.
They kept him, and I have no trust in this team staying healthy.
Yeah, no, it was one of the most
craziest collapse
I've seen in recent history in sports. Yeah. Was the Twins. I mean, when you're a big signing, I mean, they got Harrison Bader and Tyler France. Woo! You know,
Ty France is so like 2-3 years ago.
Yes, yeah. Mariners. Yeah, the second he left Seattle
he's done.
to go to Cincy, he's done. I don't know. This division, there's 4 teams, none of which I think are very good. They're okay. They're a lot of up and coming teams, and some teams on the decline. Yeah, and the White Sox. So it's who wants some more, and I can see the Tigers being the
I think it comes down to the Tigers and the Royals, to be honest. The Guards maybe, but the Guards got worse in my opinion. I think the Tigers got a little better. Even adding Gleyber Torres kind of helped that second base spot, and the Royals got better. Adding India, who is a solid second base. I think he has a lot more upside than people think. And still retaining Cole Ragans and MJ Melendez and Vinny Pasquantino. That team's just very young. And they still have Salvador Perez, who is
ageless.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. He doesn't miss a beat.
And as a catcher,
he had 40-some home runs a few years ago, and the Royals won 50 games.
Yeah, I believe
he still hits. He's got the C on there for a reason. He's a Tiger killer. I tell you that. He always hits against Detroit. Real quickly, if you were the general manager for the White Sox, what exactly would you do right now?
I mean,
you know what I'd do? I would set out the most embarrassing product. I'd set out a AAA product, which essentially is what it is. Doing. And just lose.
Yeah.
Just tank. And I know it sucks because they got the 10th pick in the draft this year because of the big city thing. Rob Manfred, you can't have a big city, and you can't have the first pick in the draft in consecutive years, which is nuts to me.
Yeah, no.
It doesn't matter. If the Dodgers are terrible, the Dodgers get the number 1 pick. Same with the other teams. But, man, I don't know what the White Sox do. They got some pieces. They got Colson Montgomery, a shortstop prospect. They got Kyle Teal, a catcher from the Red Sox. But other than that, it's who is this team starting ace?
Couldn't tell you.
I couldn't tell you either.
Couldn't tell you.
Who's this? I couldn't tell you more than 3 players on the entire team.
That's what
I know Andrew Vaughn. I know free Luis Robert Jr. By the way, he deserves much better than this. He that's a guy I could see at the trade deadline if he actually starts hitting.
And the guy they got from the Dodgers at the trade deadline, who I can't even think of his name.
Is Gavin Sheets still there?
Gavin Sheets.
I couldn't tell you. I know Jake Berger was there at one point, but he's with the Rangers now.
Yes,
but,
he got.
This White Sox team, I just had no hope. So
no.
That's exactly what it is. I don't know what's worse. Probably the Athletics because they don't have a home yet, but at least the A's tried this offseason. They actually spent some money, which is nuts.
And on homegrown guys.
Yeah.
Who I think were well deserving.
Now, speaking of the A's, we're going to go to the AL West. My division winner, I think the Rangers are going to rebound. I think the Rangers are going to win this division. I think they have one of the best overall rosters in baseball. But, man, they were banged up so badly last year. It is crazy to me how bad they were. Adolis Garcia wasn't himself. Josh Young was hurt for damn near the entire season. I think he got hurt in the first few weeks. But they still have Corey Seager. They still have Marcus Semien, Nathaniel Lowe, or is it Brandon Lowe or Nathaniel Lowe? I think it's Nathaniel Lowe is their first baseman.
Corey Seager, of course.
Corey Seager, yeah. And who's their catcher? What's his name?
Jonah Heim.
Jonah Heim, yeah.
Jonah Heim.
And he's still
followed by Higashioka, who's a
Kyle Higashioka. Yeah, I
solid
forgot about
backup
him.
catcher
Yeah.
too.
So this Rangers team is very good, and I think they end up winning this division. And for I don't have any wild card teams. I'm gonna be honest. I'll get to a story. We're gonna jump to the storyline real quick. The Astros. I think their run's over.
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
this. Why would you move Jose Altuve to left field?
Yeah, at this
He's
stage
been
of his
second
career.
base since 2011 or 2010.
Yeah, at this stage of his
Why
career,
change
it
You want him running all the time out there in left field?
No,
Like he's going to be running for his life out there while he's 34, 35. Like
someone who's consistently been healthy for you guys.
he's been your cornerstone player. He's been the heart of this team in the cheating scandal. He's been the heart of 2 World Series, 7 ALCS appearances?
I believe something like that.
It was 6 or 7 consecutive before the Tigers ended it last year in the wild card. But this team has been on an unbelievable run, but they're done.
Yeah.
In my opinion, they lost Kyle Tucker. They lost Alex Bregman. This team is just getting very, very old. Jeremy Pena is not the same player he was a few years ago. They got Isaac Paredes. He's a solid third baseman. Kind of wish he was with Detroit right now, but he was drafted. But he can only he cannot hit the right field. He pulls the ball all the time. He has, I think it was like 75 or 80 career home runs, all hit in left field. He has never hit an opposite field home run in his life,
Which is wild.
But he can't hit in right field. He's solid. I mean, he's nothing crazy. But this team they're on the decline. And I think the Astros, they had their run. This is going to be a horrifying rebuild. They have no prospects. They have not in my opinion, any young up-and-coming prospects, in my opinion, because they all traded them away to, get players. I don't know about you. I think the Astros are going to be cooked for a few years.
Yeah, they seem to have a lack of direction, too, in
Yep.
the front office at this point. Because they've built the cornerstone around Altuve, Bregman. Altuve's getting old, and
Kyle
like you said,
Tucker, when they
Kyle
developed
Tucker.
him. I mean, Yordan Alvarez is still there.
Yes,
he
and
was
he's-
your left fielder.
He's the closest thing we have to David Ortiz.
He's not. That might be the player. I mean, if the Astros start to lose, I could see them trading Yordan Alvarez.
Yes,
because they could get a ton for him.
I do like the addition of Christian Walker from
Yep,
Arizona.
yep.
He's younger, power hitting first baseman.
Yep.
That's one bright spot for him. But like you said,
They don't have enough.
no.
And their pitching staff is. I think they still have Lance McCullers. Hunter Brown is. I think Hunter Brown could be very good for them. But other than that, I don't know, Framber Valdez. I don't know. It's a bunch of question marks for the Astros.
Yeah,
in my opinion. So
and I can see them finishing as low as 4th in the division.
yeah.
My hot take: I think the Seattle Mariners are a playoff team. What do you think?
Really?
What do you think?
I could see it. Oh yeah, I never gave you your predictions.
No, you're.
Yeah.
No, I have Texas winning the division.
Texas win the division.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, and then
yeah.
followed by Seattle being the third wild card team in the AL.
I see the Mariners are such a big question mark to me. Well, and might as well just get to the Mariners now. I said, are the Mariners cursed? Question mark. They have a great pitching staff. Very, very, very good pitching staff. Their offense is horrific. I mean, they couldn't score in anything last year. And get Julio Rodriguez some help.
That was who I was talking
could
about.
see the Mariners making a turn because it seemed like all the players last year had some of the worst years they've had in a long time. J.P. Crawford couldn't hit a beach ball, and he was annihilating the baseball when the Mariners made it a few years ago. Julio Rodriguez, down year. And that's something we didn't think was going to happen because people forgot about Julio Rodriguez.
Yep. He's a sneaky MVP candidate for me. He's the one who I was.
They still have a Rosarena. I mean, and Randy Rosarena,
he had
terrible year last year.
Yeah, it's just they couldn't.
They all had their worst years last year, and the thing is, the Mariners weren't awful.
No, they had an excellent, absolutely unreal pitching staff. Probably one of the best in baseball. I mean, you got
George Kirby. They have that one dude who just got Logan Gilbert. Yep.
I know he's. I mean, and don't forget their catcher, Cal Raleigh.
Cal
Raleigh.
Raleigh.
Yeah, how you say it. But he's a someone who is underrated catcher who I think could he holds down the team, I think. But yeah, Seattle, if they can get their bats going, they're a dangerous team, and I think they do find their swing this year. Now another team who I think, honestly, I could two up and coming teams, and I know they've been laughingstock, both of these teams really, but one of them's been the laughingstock of baseball last 10 years is not 10 years, but last 5 is the Sacramento A's of Las Vegas.
That's still,
Formerly of Oakland.
I still can't. And I said a word on here. I said F John Fisher.
Yeah.
Because he's a scumbag.
Yeah.
But I said, can the A's ever get anything nice?
I think they have two nice pieces in Brent Rooker and Lawrence Butler.
Brent Rooker had a phenomenal year. He didn't even have over 100 RBIs last year.
I believe so. Yeah,
he had a phenomenal year.
It seemed like he had the dude's got power. He's someone who you would look at as a huge trade piece at the deadline last few years, but they gave him, I believe, the biggest contract the A's have ever given out, I believe, followed by Lawrence Butler.
Yeah, Lawrence,
who's young center fielder, comes from the same cloth as Michael Harris.
Yep.
I think they could be an up and coming team, and I think a sneaky dangerous team, believe it or not, is the Ron Washington-led Los Angeles Angels, who seem to have the Braves retreads. You got Travis d'Arnaud, who is an absolute, laugh as you will, he's an excellent.
He acts. I'm laughing. Ron Washington.
Ron Washington, yes.
It says it on your graphic. Yeah, but no, it's actually crazy because the older Travis d'Arnaud gets, he's still a very good catcher.
Yes,
he still has power.
He will be a manager when all is said and done. He absolutely
take the Stephen Vogt route.
100%. And I truly think all signs point to Atlanta. I know Braves homer, but all signs point to Atlanta for him.
They're not going to fire their manager.
No. I'm saying they'll keep Snicker till for a foreseeable future. But once Travis is he'll
be an assistant.
He's on his last few years, and I think he is someone who could take
the job.
He could take the place. And the Angel. They got Jorge Soler, who he hit or miss, lots of power.
Yep.
And do we forget Mike Trout? A fully healthy Mike Trout.
I got flamed for this on TikTok a few years ago. I said Mike Trout's overrated. He can't stay healthy. The day Mike Trout plays over 100 games in Major League Baseball, which is 2/3 of the season, not even 2/3, is when I will finally say Mike Trout. But the problem is he's 34. Now, I give him a ton of credit. He's as loyal as they come because these Angels teams have been horrific. And the problem is they're not terrible. They're never terrible. They always win. I swear it's always 70 games. 71, 72, something like that. They always barely get to 70 wins, but they have some pieces. They have Zach Neto, Nolan Schanuel, Logan O'Hoppe. They have some pieces that I like in LA. The problem is they just need to get it all together, and their pitching staff needs to get it together as well.
Yes. Yeah.
But I like what you said about d'Arnaud because I really like him. He was a guy that I wanted the Tigers to get. He's an older guy, but he's a very good hitting center or catcher.
I think he's something the Braves will dearly miss. I see why they let go of him, but he's someone who will that young team. He's someone who's going to lead them. He's a clubhouse guy, through and through, absolute clubhouse guy. And I think the additions of Kikuchi and Kyle Hendricks, older guys, but they're veterans, and that's what
Kikuchi's an underrated signing.
Yes, yeah, I think so. And they got Kenley Jansen, who's one of the greatest closers.
One of the greatest closers of
also
since
underrated.
Mariano Rivera.
Yeah, but I think they could be a sneaky good team. I could see them finishing third. I can see them finishing fifth. It's just one of those where
they're a big question mark.
Yes, but they will get there, and I think Mike Trout, absolute damn shame his career's come to injuries because
man, he was
we've been
so-
robbed. We've been robbed.
I'm gonna be honest. I mean, as young as I'm 21. I've only been used to Mike Trout being old, or
Which is-
Mike Trout
which
being
is sad.
I wasn't. I started watching baseball in like 13, 14 when the Angels were good.
Yes.
But I don't remember most of that but Mike Trout, you look at his stats, man. When he first started his career, he came out of the box and he just annihilated the baseball. In early Mike Trout years, he was phenomenal, but he can't stay healthy.
No.
And it's terrible. It's a damn shame because he's one of the best hitters in baseball, if not the best.
It's absolutely wild that, and I know this has been talked to death about, but the Angels have had
Ohtani,
the two best players in baseball the last decade at the same time on the same team.
never once.
Not one single playoff win.
Nope.
Mike Trout.
I don't
is-
even have parents,
Yeah.
which is nuts.
Yeah.
Well, with
They
Ohtani.
made nope, not with Ohtani. Trout, they made it 1 year.
Yeah,
They got
2012,
swept.
13, yeah.
Got swept.
So
Mike Trout due in October.
I hope Trout gets to play in October again.
I do too. I think he will. It won't be this year. Might not be next year, but I think he will.
He will at some point. The Angels, they have pieces. They just have to develop them.
Do you trade Mike Trout? If
he stays healthy this year, and you can get, because you could get a lot for him.
you can. I
You
think
can
you still
go.
can.
I mean, no, I'm not going to say the Dodgers, but
No, I mean-
you essentially could go to the Dodgers and get top prospects. The Dodgers have very good prospects. Maybe if maybe if the Red Sox are good, you can go get Roman Anthony for Mike Trout. The number one prospect in baseball, an outfielder for Mike Trout, and the Red Sox can they can just go full bore for the AL East. I wouldn't.
No.
I personally, if I was the GM of the Angels, I would never trade Mike Trout because to me, it's like you can't. Like he has put so much loyalty into this team. I would feel like a scumbag if I traded Mike Trout. I know it's so for the best of the team.
Yeah.
He's the best player you will ever have in your life. Well, I can't say that because they had Ohtani, and Ohtani is arguably, and when it's all said and done, the best player in MLB history.
Yes,
with
which
what
is-
he's been able to do.
I mean,
which is crazy.
Yeah, the stuff. I think I'm truly, and we'll get to time, but I think he's probably the most underrated player in baseball because we take for granted what he does.
People forgot he is one of the best pitchers in baseball.
Yes, and even without
On
that,
top
he's-
of hitting 50 home runs.
yeah, exactly, unreal. And we'll get to Ohtani, but I think people as great as
People
he is,
overlook him.
Yes.
They're like, oh, it's Ohtani. He's just really good.
What we're
You
seeing-
don't realize how good he is.
what we're seeing from him is something we will never see again. No, and it's
We will have two-way hitters. No way, not even close to what Ohtani is.
not to do it at the highest level on both
Dude,
sides.
Once he came out in his rookie year in the Angels when he was 24, and he was playing phenomenal. He won Rookie of the Year.
Yeah.
So, what else more can you say about him? I mean, people are like, oh, you're talking about... Yeah, because he's really good.
He's that good. He's the first player to win MVP as DH.
That's unreal.
That is how good he was to that team.
So, yeah. And real quickly, the Rangers, can they return to form? I personally do. And I think a very underrated addition is adding Jake Berger, who
I
had
think
80 RBIs.
Jack Peterson as well.
Peterson.
who's
Yep, I forgot.
Always seems to be there. He's always seems to be a solid.
Signs 1-year deals, but man, he plays really good.
Yeah, he does.
He's a very good bench guy, and even if you need him to start, he can get you 1 or 2 hits a game.
Yeah.
He always hits 250, 260, something like that.
He's all reliable.
And he still has power.
Mm-hmm.
He still has a lot of power, which is nuts. So let's get to the National League. We're going to start with the NL East.
Oh,
Eric's favorite division. My division winner is the Miami. No, I'm just kidding. I have the Braves winning the division. To me, it's simple. The Braves haven't given me a reason to not pick against them yet. I know I joked around with him earlier. While they were very hurt last year, and that's why they had such an early exit in the postseason, this team is back to healthy. They still have Austin Riley. They still have Sean Murphy. They still have Matt Olson. Michael Harris. Ronald Acuna Jr. is going to be back. Ozzie Albies. This team is just filled, absolutely loaded with talent. And it's actually crazy to me they haven't won another World Series. I personally think the Braves, it's hard with the Dodgers, man, but In some ways, I think the Braves have a better roster than the Dodgers. The Dodgers have the better players, but the Braves have the better roster. I think the Braves are more balanced than the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers are very top-heavy. You have Ohtani, you have Freeman, you have Mookie Betts, some of the best players in baseball. And then after that, it gets a little shaky, but they have guys that can hit. And obviously, thank God they didn't get Juan Soto. But no, I have the Braves winning at wild card, Phillies and Mets. Phillies, they hit a ton of home runs. They will continue to. They'll have a very good year. And the Mets, they had arguably one of the best off seasons. But I will get to my biggest question marks about the Mets and why I can't pick them, because a lot of people are picking the Mets and forgetting about the Braves.
Yes.
So Eric,
2020.
You to be a homer?
2024, absolutely. The year, if it could go wrong, it went wrong for the Atlanta Braves. I mean, you lost your ace,
Strider.
the preseason pick for Cy Young, that runaway easy.
Did he even pitch at all last year? Or was
he
that,
pitched.
was that
I think he made 2-3 starts. Yeah. It was late April that he hurt Acuna. I mean, after the 23 season, where people forget is the Braves had the best offensive team in history. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to bounce back from. I mean, it's hard to repeat that, obviously. So the regression was always going to be there, but
you could match it.
The regression was worse than it was steeper than we thought. Injuries. Their opening day roster played 4 innings together.
That's crazy.
4 innings together.
That's nuts.
And they had to rely on
who got hurt in opening day?
Sean Murphy, who just surprise is starting off 2025 on the IL. So true, the Braves, there's no weakness on their lineup except the shortstop position. Orlando Arcia, I know he was an all-star in 23.
He hasn't been the same since.
No, he's been the worst player in baseball, I believe. But him and Javi Baez.
Yeah.
But at least, yes. But at least we're not paying him hundreds of millions of dollars to be the worst. But
yeah, we're stuck with that deal.
But the Braves, despite all their weaknesses last year, the injury, they had some pitching that the rebirth of Chris Sale, the Cy Young winner.
Oh yeah, yep.
How good for him.
A Cy Young in what a turnaround.
Yeah,
he pitched like he did in Boston, like his early years in Boston when he went to the World Series, and the White Sox as well. Yeah, he wasn't good the latter years of Boston, but when they won the World Series, you couldn't hit him. And that slider is still one of the hardest pitches to hit in baseball.
No, and and he's someone, he doesn't care about. He doesn't want the Cy Young. He wants nothing but a ring, and he's gonna be absolutely. He's gonna try his damnedest to get it.
Him and Strider is an unbelievable.
And let's not forget Spencer Strider, who Quadzilla, who he's due back probably mid-May, like we were talking about earlier with and pitchers coming in, and
he'll be ready by the dog days of summer.
Yes, and that dude, hardest thrower, flamethrower.
Yep.
One of the.
He's got a lot of swing and miss stuff.
Yes, I mean he strikes them out. He mows people down.
Yep.
That lineup though. It's 1 through 9. There's not an easy out.
And even Orlando Arcia, he's been okay at times. I do think the Braves probably will go acquire a shortstop.
Yes.
They will have somebody other than Orlando Arcia at some point.
And, the big addition of Jerkson Profar, who, our one weakness last year was left field. Jared Kelenic didn't perform up to snuff. Profar, he's someone who up until last year was kind of okay. But last year he had a tremendous season. We got a new hitting coach.
San Diego, right?
San Diego. Yep. He all-star. Yep. New hitting coach this year. Who I think kind of changed the philosophy that they were missing last year. Mm-hmm. It was time to make a change. Get rid of Kevin Seitzer as a hitting coach. Great coach. Has been with the Braves for years. But it was
time.
It wasn't working out last year. But you got Nick Allen, who they acquired from the A's, who's, I think, underrated. A young guy who I think will turn some heads this year at the shortstop position. I think he might overtake Arcia.
Probably. Or Sia isn't great, so I mean anybody could probably beat out that spot.
Yeah, and
But it's the only spot that there's a weakness.
Yeah.
Everywhere else you have an who's been an all-star at some point.
Yes.
Or was playing at an elite level.
Yeah.
I mean, you talked about in 2023 that team's offense, you couldn't stop them.
Greatest in history statistically.
I
Them
think
in the
they had,
1927 Yankees.
Didn't they have like the most home runs of all time?
They tied it. They tied it with the Twins. I want to say the
Bombs Away Twins from 2018 or 17, the very young Twins.
Yes.
I have no question marks about the Braves, to be honest. Their bullpen, I don't know as much as you do. Is their bullpen very good?
I mean, when you got Buck Farmer as
I remember.
I mean, that's one weakness that I think they can overcome. I mean, they got Raisel Iglesias to, at the closing spot.
He's good.
They lost A.J. Minter to the Mutts.
The Mutts.
But I think they can overcome that's one weakness they have is their bullpen. Mm-hmm. Middle innings kind of guys. I mean, you got Grant Holmes who could be. He might be, take down the fifth spot in the rotation. It might be Ian Anderson, who we haven't seen the big league level since. And he's the
guy that was pitching in the playoffs last year? Who's the guy who pitched like one inning, or he pitched like one game, and he started game 2 for the Braves last year?
I believe it was Grant Holmes, if I recall.
Was it Grant Holmes? I remember you telling me like you were really mad but the Braves had nobody else. Yeah. Schwellenbach, another guy to watch out for to have a breakout year. Fantastic last year.
Oh, he was a revelation. He probably saved the season. Truly. Yeah. Him and Chris Sale being what they were. Max Fried, obviously.
The fact that they made the playoffs, even with all those injuries.
Absolutely limped their way in.
Yeah.
Truly. I mean, Chris Sale wasn't available for the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, who'd they play again?
The Padres.
Yeah, that Padres team is... They'll lose to the Dodgers, but I mean, everyone else they seem to beat.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Braves are going to be really good. The only question, like you said, shortstop, maybe the bullpen, but I don't have any issues really with the Braves.
And we got the catching spot, Drake Baldwin, who is one of the top catching prospects, and it's a lot of it with Murphy.
Murphy's declining, isn't he?
He had a horrid season last year.
Yeah.
He was hurt. For majority of it. But ever since the first...
Besides shortstop, do you think catching is... Now that Darno is out, do you think catching is your most weakest spot?
Yes. Yeah.
Or is it left field?
I think it's definitely catcher.
Yeah.
Since the first half of the 23 season, Sean Murphy's been a ghost. Absolute ghost of himself.
Because I remember he was playing phenomenal in that 23. He started out when that Braves team was just going on a roll, and that Braves team was still on a roll. But then Murphy kept going down the lineup, and at one point he couldn't help the team out.
No,
he looked terrible.
No, and he's been that way since the All-Star break of 23.
Yeah.
Like he just has not been himself. Great. I really was. I mean, hoping this year and thinking that he'd bounce back. I don't think he's at the level he was in 23, the first half of 23, where he was an all-star.
Yeah.
But at least be serviceable.
He's
still a great defensive catcher. Yeah, truly though.
That entire Braves team in 23, it was unreal. They had 6, 7 on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah. And how can we? I can't believe we haven't said his name yet. Ronald Acuna Jr. He will be back.
He needs to stay healthy though.
He will.
I swear he gets banged up once a year. Since 2023, was he hurt at all? I swore I thought he was hurt at some point.
I can't recall. He might have missed a week or two. I don't believe so, though.
People forget about Albies. People forget about Marcell Ozuna. I mean, people forget about these Braves hitters because they've been seduced by the Mutts, as you call them.
Yes.
Who I'm going to say right now, and might as well just get to the story. Oh, you said your wild card teams and your...
Yeah, I do have the Mets and Phillies.
Mets and Phillies, okay. Yeah, so let's talk about the Mets. So they had a good offseason. They got the best player I think will ever hit the free agent market. Well, besides Shohei. I can't because Shohei Ohtani has that beat. But here's my problem with the Mets. They don't have a starting pitching rotation
No.
worth a damn.
No, not at all.
Kodai Senga, fine. That's your ace.
Yeah.
They didn't sign anything. They signed Clay Holmes, the reliever, the closer for the Yankees last year.
And Frankie Montas, who
Oh, please.
yeah, exactly.
He had like a 4.5 ERA. Yeah, no, that's the biggest thing. And the Mets are going to hit. They're going to hit a ton. Juan Soto's going to have a great year. Pete Alonso,
Overrated.
Stupid decision by him and his
Overrated.
agent to not take that 6-year deal from the Mets. You think he's overrated?
Absolutely, 100%.
He hits like 280, and he always has like 40 home runs.
The dude lives for home run derby. That's all he does. That's all he is. He's just the home run derby guy. He will never. The dude, he doesn't hit two.
Is he the NL version of Aaron Judge?
No, he's worse than Aaron. It's not even the breathe
Really?
Pete Alonso in the same breath as Aaron Judge is laughable.
But Aaron
Pete
Judge
Alonso's-
either hits a home run or that's it.
He's a 220
We can't
hitter
stand
who
Alonso.
will lead. He will lead the NL in strikeouts year after year, or be top 3 in
He's
strikeouts.
an OPS over 900.
It's the dude. He's the definition of boom or bust, and it's bust more than boom. Yes, he'll
So
hit the long
has,
ball.
I guess that's fair. He either has like he goes 3 for 4.
And the dude's just a cringe. Like, he's the most cringiest person I've
You know, like
ever
the
seen.
polar bear?
No, no. And that's another thing about the Mets is they are a team of
Characters.
no. I mean they just need something to distract them. You know, the Grimace or Jose Iglesias. Oh my God.
Grimace.
Or in
Yeah, I bet
23.
you hated that whole Grimace
It was a
thing.
joke.
They threw Grimace out for the first pitch, and then the Mets proceeded to go on a winning streak because they were terrible. And then Grimace came out, and then they just went on a complete run to the NLCS and got bagged by the Dodgers.
Yeah.
but which I know you were hoping for.
And they're another team of overachievers last year. I mean, yes,
Nice
they got
guess.
some young
I like
guy,
that.
Brett Beatty,
You're right.
Francisco Alvarez. I mean, you got Lindor, obviously, you know, who's always going to be MVP candidate. But
Lindor had a great year.
their bottom half of the line is pretty weak. They don't have what the Braves have or the Dodgers have, where it's
So Juan Soto, Pete Alonso, Francisco Lindor, Mark Vientos had a very good. He had a really good year last year.
it depends on those fringe guys, is how far they will go.
Vientos was one of those who they didn't know if he was going to. Alvarez needs to be better.
Yes.
Alvarez had solid average. I think he hit 230, something like that, which isn't bad for a catcher. But he didn't have a ton of power. I think he only hit 10 home runs, and RBIs was kind of off.
Yeah.
I do agree with that the Mets are a little top heavy, but they are really, really heavy on the top. Like Juan Soto,
And
Pete
Lindor.
Alonso, Francisco Lindor. You're going to
See,
hit
that's
a ton
what
of
that scares
home
me
runs.
is the boom part of Alonso's game is, you know, when you got Soto.
Pete
if they-
Alonso's better than Matt.
I mean,
Matt Olson right now.
That's not even no.
They have better. He has a better OPS. He stays healthy more than Alonso. He has a better average, and he hits for more home runs.
Yeah.
2023, yes. Like Matt Olson, unbelievable. He might have been the best first baseman in baseball that year. He had like almost 50 home runs that year.
And-
I remember he went on a tear to where he like couldn't stop hitting home runs.
It was unreal.
But Alonso right now is better than Olson.
I mean, no, I'm going to disagree. You got Matt Olson, who is the leader in consecutive games played in Major League Baseball. Not saying he's going to get even where close to Cal Ripken. That's not ever going to happen. But
Nobody's ever gonna
Matt
do that.
Olson does not miss games. Yes, he strikes. He's like Alonso. He's very boomer bust.
Yeah.
But he's more consistent, much more consistent than Pete Alonso. I would, if it, you know, at bat for my life, Matt Olson or Pete Alonso. It's not even close. Give
Really?
me Matt Olson. I'm just for someone to get on base. Matt Olson every day of the week and twice on
Is
Sunday.
Alonso your most hated player?
He's up there. He's up
Who's
there.
your most hated player? Who's a player in Major League Baseball you cannot stand?
Yeah, well, Mr. Instigator. Alonso. It honestly, it used to be Bryce Harper, but as I've gotten older and a little softer in the heart,
Make it fun.
you know, I've Bryce Harper is someone who's you got to respect his greatness.
Oh, he's
But at one point, it might be Alonso.
Alonso.
I think it might be Alonso or Mookie Betts, just because he's annoying.
Yeah, I don't like Mookie Betts either.
He just annoys
He's really
me.
cringeworthy.
Yes.
And speaking of Bryce Harper, the Phillies, the Phillies, are they going to get – at some point they're going to get regression from Kyle Schwarber because Kyle Schwarber's getting up there. I mean, he either hits a home run or he strikes out.
He's the absolute epitome of boomer bust.
Yes.
That we were talking about.
I think he hits like 190 or 200.
He hovers around the 200 spot.
He hovers around the Mendoza line. But
which is
when
wild.
he hits the baseball, it goes like 5,000
Yes.
feet. Like it goes into a river somewhere. It'll hit a building in Philadelphia. But that's all he does. The Schwarberger they have there in Philly, the Schwar bombs and all that. Another guy, Trey Turner's going to regress at some point. That contract is going to age terribly, in my opinion.
I see. I think I think he had a rough season last year.
You
but
think he's going to turn out to be better?
I think the Phillies are. I think people sleep on the Phillies a little too much. And the Phillies, they scare me a hell of a lot more than the Mets.
Really?
Hell of a lot more.
Is it because of the pitching staff?
You got the
better,
pitching staff with Wheeler, and their lineup's deeper. You mean JT Realmuto, Alec Boehm, who still
Bryson Stott's a really underrated second baseman.
Alec Boehm still hasn't touched home plate. If you know, you know what I mean.
Nice.
But they're a team that I think people forget about. They scare the hell out of me. I'll be honest with you. They scare the hell out of me. They didn't have a flashy offseason. The Braves didn't either. Really,
but you guys didn't have to.
No.
Both teams didn't have to. The Phillies already have their pieces. So do you. It's just about you guys getting healthy and the Phillies continuing to just have their best players keep being best players.
Exactly.
Have Bryce Harper continue to mash the baseball. And another guy that I threw on here, Tiger legend Nick Castellanos. He's going to regress.
He's on my list of most annoying baseball
I don't like
players.
him either. He called out
enough of your son. Get him off. It's like we don't need to see him.
He's ridiculous, and he's also a scumbag. He's terrible to reporters.
Oh,
and the thing is like he was like trashing the Tigers. I'm like, yeah, Comerica Park's a big park. So what?
Yeah.
Still hit the baseball. Like it's not like it's 50 feet more. Like you're not at Yankee Stadium to where a pop up can be a home run.
Yeah.
I'm tired of this whole
Great
like
players make
Comerica
adjustments.
is like, Comerica's a warehouse. You can't hit anything unless you hit it 450. It's ridiculous.
I mean,
the left field porch is 370. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Now.
And do we forget like the last triple crown winner, Miguel Cabrera, and he was the first one to do it.
It didn't bother
in
Miggy.
decades.
It didn't bother Prince Fielder or
No.
Andy Dirks. Or
they're absolute tanks of
Johnny
human
Peralta
beings.
when they were there. No, it didn't matter to any of them.
No, great.
Torkelson hit 30 home runs in Comerica. That's all I need to know.
Great players make adjustments.
Yeah,
to that.
exactly.
Nick Castellanos.
Work out a little more. Put a little more pop in the ball. You shouldn't have pop-ups as home runs. We're not at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, it's and Castellanos.
That makes me so mad when people just dog Comerica. It's a beautiful ballpark.
It is. Oh,
it's very nice, and people sleep
most
on
underrated.
it because it's like, oh, it's such a big park. You have to hit it 450 in it unless it's home. It's stupid.
No, I mean, and it's if you want to see web gems, Comerica's always been one. You'll see a web gem at Comerica every time you go.
Yeah. No, It's ridiculous. Anyway, back to the Phillies. They got Max Kepler. Can he return back to early Minnesota form? And their pitching staff, can they continue to pitch well, led by Zach Wheeler? I think they will.
I think so. And let's not
I
forget Aaron Nola.
have no issues with the Braves, the Phillies, and the Mets. I'll say the Mets in there. The Mets will make the playoffs. Their offense is way too good to not make the playoffs.
I agree.
Now, the pitching staff's going to be their downfall. And
it will come back to bite them.
It will, because they didn't do anything. I mean, Kodai Senga is good and all, but he ain't an ace. He's not an ace.
No.
Not anywhere near it. And talking about the rest of the NL East real quickly before we move on to the Central, the Nationals and the Marlins. I don't think we really need to talk about the Marlins. The Marlins are terrible. They have nothing going for them. Their ballpark's nice, but
David Sampson built that.
Lone Depot Park.
Lone Depot Park.
I don't really have much to say about the Marlins. They're kind of a forgettable team in my opinion.
No, and
problem is though, they give teams fits sometimes. They'll go on a run, but they traded Jazz Chisholm. They don't have Jake Berger. They traded Luis Arias. They don't really have much in my. Can I name an offensive player there? They still have Brian Anderson.
No. He was
exactly.
He was last seen on the Braves.
Oh,
during Riley's absence last season.
There you go. That's how much I know about the Marlins. I don't know.
No, My problem with Miami is that we've seen it in the World Baseball Classic. It could be an absolute great baseball town. It could be.
It can.
It's something that was promised under. They came in. They won 2 World Series in their first,
And it
6,
was
7
out
years.
of the blue. No one expected either of those runs.
It's something that from the time of Jeffrey Lurie and David Sampson running the team, they've promised and promised and promised we'll keep our players. And then they sold it to Bruce Sherman and Derek Jeter, who sold the team because he was getting laughed out.
Yeah.
Again, promised we'll spend the money. We'll spend the money.
Nope.
And it's a shame. I feel bad for the city of Miami. They deserve better.
We saw it with the Florida Panthers. Your team, by the way.
Yes. Ice Cats, baby.
I mean, Florida, like 10 years ago, was a nothing. I mean, they were terrible. They tanked for Aaron Ekblad, and then now it's like
Cheater.
it's unbelievable. I mean, everything. It's hard to win in Sunrise.
Yes.
And they found a way to win. But the Marlins, they don't really have much going on for them.
No.
But I will say, the Nationals, in my opinion, are a team I could see making a Tigers-type turnaround to where they could they're not winning the division. There's no way they're winning the division.
No.
But
Maybe
they make a run for a wild card.
It's possible.
I think there's way too many good teams in the NL.
Yeah, NL stacked.
The
That's
Diamond.
tough.
I'll just give you my other team is the Diamondbacks. The Diamondbacks are so much better than the Nationals. But I could see the Nationals having a record above 500.
Yes,
I could see them make it run. I mean, they are building things the right way. I could see Mackenzie Gore having a breakout year. C.J. Abrams had a very good year.
Yep.
Dylan Cruz is going to be up there. James Woods.
James Woods.
Yeah, I mean, they have pieces. They have young pieces. They just need to bring them together, and I think they will have a breakout year.
They do remind me a lot of the Tigers.
Yeah.
Very young, gritty, hungry.
They need a few more pieces, though, especially on that pitching staff. They need something other than Mackenzie Gore.
They do. They did sign Michael Soroka.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
I mean,
he's
not
what he used to be.
He's
But
he's
an option.
0 wins, 10 losses last year.
He's an option.
He's an option. Yes.
He was also on the White Sox.
Yes, that did not help. But no, I mean, they are a young, hungry team.
They're gonna give the Mets, the Phillies, and the Braves. They're gonna give them some fits.
Yes,
There's
will.
gonna be a few games where they probably should have won, but the Nats come back or they find a way to win.
Yeah, they're a thorn in their side, truly. And I think they're still a year or two away from really being competitive.
Yes.
I could oversee them, in the future. I could see them overtaking the Phillies.
Yeah.
And the Mets.
At some point, one of those 3 teams is going to decline. If I had to pick one, it would probably be. Well, the Mets kind of just started out because they spent a bunch of money. It'd either be the Phillies or the Mets.
I think
the Braves have a good.
We have
solid
our cores
years.
locked in for
and I have no issue with the Braves. They're going to be good for a while, but probably the Mets. I think the Mets just because they just signed Soto and they're kind of very top heavy, and the Phillies have a much better rotation. I think it'd be the Mets before anything.
Yeah, I can see the Phillies only because they're a bit older.
That's true. Yeah, they have a lot more older players. But, I think the Nats could be very solid this year. They're not doing anything like, wild card-wise, but I could see them having a solid year. All right, the NL Central. My division winner, because this team just they seem to always win, is the Brewers.
Yes.
They never, ever, ever, ever do anything in the playoffs. I mean, this is basically the Bills of baseball. They never do anything, but they always win their division.
They do,
and it's crazy because they don't have like a whole They had Corbin Burns, they had Brandon Woodruff. They don't have a ton of talent, but Adames did really good for them last year. They still have Bryce Terang, and I think there's going to be a big year from Jackson Chourio. This Brewers team, to me, they're just going to find a way to win. I know people will say the Reds. But I don't think the Reds have enough. I think the Reds are solid. They're another team I could see. Like the Nationals could make a run, and the Cubs to me, the Cubs have the Cubs to me.
There's something off.
There's something off about the Cubs. Last year they should have been good, but they weren't.
They
were hovering around 500. The Cubs should have been better last year, and they weren't. Their pitching staff is okay. Shota Imanaga is very, very good.
Yes,
but they need a third baseman because they didn't get Alex Bregman. I know they have Matt Shaw, who's a prospect, so we'll see how that pans out. They lost Cody Bellinger. It's just a bunch of question marks.
It is.
They have prospects that if they pan out, but like Pete Crow Armstrong and Matt Shaw, but they still have Nico Horner and Dansby Swanson, and who's their first baseman? I couldn't tell you who their first baseman is, but the Cubs are just a massive question mark to me. I don't think they have enough talent.
Yeah, I mean, the acquisition of Kyle Tucker's huge.
Yeah,
but
actually, yeah.
Outside of that, I mean, Dansby Swanson's been, let's be honest, he's been a bit of a letdown.
He's been declining since he left Atlanta, honestly.
Yeah, true. And the writing was on the wall there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's something missing.
The Cubs, they needed Alex Bregman, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah,
I mean, the Tigers but the Tigers have a little more, but the Cubs needed Bregman badly.
Yeah, I mean, Nico Horner, solid. I mean, they
kind of overhype him.
A little bit.
Whenever I watch him, he's always okay, but he go like 1 for 4 or 1 for 5, or he'll go 0 for. He never has like a 3-hit game out of the blue.
Yeah, no. Michael Busch, their first baseman, so that's a no-namer.
Okay. Yeah.
At least I
I think he's from the Dodgers.
At some point, yeah, that sounds right. I think he was a Dodgers prospect. But they're a team that's meh.
Who do you have winning the division?
The Brewers. Yep, I do, and then I do have the Cubs finishing second. But look out for the Reds.
I think the Reds could go on a run. I'll just put out the Reds that I have. Can the Reds finally break through with this core with De La Cruz, McLean, Steer, and Green? And is the loss of India significant? We'll find out.
I don't think so. I mean, look what he's done since. Matt
McLean can play third. He can play short. He can play second. You'll obviously have Ellie De La Cruz at short, who's just a lightning bolt. He's just he's just a fun player to watch. Oh. Very, very fun. And this dude is unbelievably fast.
Yes,
it's crazy. And Spencer Steer, who got hurt last year, who's a very good first baseman. They have a young team, and Hunter Green can have ace stuff, and he
Absolutely.
is their ace. I think the Braves need, or not the Braves. I think the Reds need a little more in the outfield, but I could also.
They got Austin Hayes, who can make a difference. He can make a little bit. It's a bit of an upgrade.
Yeah.
And Gavin Lux as shortstop. But he can play second, third.
He's a lot like McLean.
Yeah, and but I think the Reds they're getting there. They
are. I think if they need to spend, man, actually real money. If they go out,
and that's the problem with baseball is these teams.
Some of these teams are cheap. And speaking of cheap, the Pirates.
Yes.
Can the Pirates? I said this. Can the Pirates please give Paul Skeens an offense?
Yes.
But I also said, can Skeens continue to dominate like he did last year?
No doubt about that.
Or is he gonna have a sophomore slump?
I think there's not a doubt in my mind. He's the real deal. He's must-watch television when he pitches.
Oh, he is. He's very, very good. But the Pirates have barely any pieces on offense. They have Brian Reynolds, O'Neal Cruz.
Who's that? Ke'Bryan Hayes.
Hayes.
Let down.
Who has been declining for a few years.
He's
they
good
don't
defender.
have enough, and they don't spend. I saw something. They haven't handed out a 2-year deal since 2015.
Which is
10 years.
It's sickening. It's
sickening because, and they also need to extend Paul Skeens. I know he just started his arbitration.
Pay him,
give him the contract.
Go the Braves route and pay him while he's young.
Pay him early
before they're they reach their market value.
Because even if he has a sophomore slump, I really don't think his sophomore slump is going to be that bad. I think it's instead of a 2 ERA, maybe he's a 2.5 or a 2.6.
Yeah, he's my Cy Young pick.
I remember at one point he had a sub 2 ERA. His first 2 months. You could not hit him.
Yeah, let's not forget he didn't spend much time in the minors at all.
No,
at all.
He got drafted. He
went straight
2 years ago,
basically straight to college to the MLB with a cup of coffee in AAA.
Yeah,
he's must-watch television. But
he's
yes,
so fun to watch.
When your key sign is Tommy Pham. What are we doing here? What are we doing? Tommy Pham is our
in the big 2025. Yep. I feel
bad
bad for Pirates fans because it's such a beautiful ballpark.
Oh, it's tremendous.
I'm gonna be honest. I'd go there to see Paul Skeens play.
Yes,
I would go even if the offense scores 2 runs. I would go just.
It's worth the 4-hour drive.
Yes,
just for the stadium alone.
Oh yeah,
but if it's on a Skeens day,
you're gonna see a terrible offense, but you're gonna see a really fun. Well, a pitcher. I mean, they have some pieces.
Who's their other
Who's
pitcher?
their other guy? That long-haired dude. Is it Jones? His last name's Jones.
Oh, Yeah,
I can't remember his
Jared Jones.
Jared Jones. Yeah. He was
He's
actually
young.
pretty good too. He's
and
like
he's
22.
he's another young guy.
But to me, it's going to be the same thing the Pirates did with Garrett Cole. They're going to just run this dude for 6 years, and then, Yankees, Dodgers.
Oh, time to pay you. Nope, see ya.
Yep, Mets. Some big name, Houston, like some big name team is just going to pay him.
If he reaches free agency, he
500.
Oh yeah,
500 easy.
He will be this free agency would be equivalent of what we saw with Soto and Ohtani last year. Is in Harper.
If he continues to pitch like this, I could see up to Ohtani numbers. He's not going to get to Ohtani because Ohtani hits. I could see 550 around that, maybe 600.
Yeah,
but 500 easy.
He's one of those you keep bubble wrap around him at all times. You protect him at all costs. And
same thing the Tigers with Scooball.
And Pittsburgh enjoy while you got him.
Yeah, and it's the same thing with Scooball. The Tigers need to pay Scooball. He's got 2 more years left of arbitration. And if this team lets Tarek Scooball go, I will not be happy, and I will succumb fandom from the Detroit Tigers. I will become a fan or a free agent fan. I probably won't, but I'll be just really pissed off.
I mean, and we got the Cardinals who
I
round
said
out the
full on rebuild question mark.
Yeah, I mean, their only question is, will Nolan Arenado be there come midseason trade deadline time?
He wouldn't. I mean, I don't think he. His no trade clause is what's keeping him there, and he doesn't really want to waive it. I think the Cardinals just need to blow it up.
Yeah.
I think they need to get rid of Nolan Arenado, and they need to just tank.
Yeah.
And it's going to be weird because the Cardinals being bad is a new thing.
It is. They've always been perennial.
Been a 90-win team. They've always been a perennial 90-win team, always up there, always winning the NL Central. But it's the Brewers' time now, and maybe the Reds in the future. But they don't have any prospects. They have that one left fielder. I can't remember his name, but he's been so up and down for the Cardinals. He's 21 or 22. And they don't have anything. They really don't have much.
No.
Ever since Yadier Molina left, and Adam Wainwright, they've just been not great.
No.
They need pieces. They need prospects. I think with Nolan Arenado, you could probably get like a B-level prospect. Arenado's been declining.
He has been
since for a few years now.
He's also one of those guys though who I could see, easily breaking
having
out
another Gold Glove year.
I mean, he's probably the best third baseman defender.
That's a guy I want the Tigers to go get. To be honest with you, get a Gold Glove third baseman. I know he's old, but if he can play defensively very well and maybe hit 250, it's better than throwing whatever else it's better than throwing Torkelson out there or Jace Young or because Matt Vierling's hurt. And so that's what we have for the NL Central. The last one we talk about is a very, very top-loaded division. The NL West. My division winner, I don't think it comes as a surprise. I think we're both going to say the Dodgers.
Yeah, yep.
Don't think we really have to argue about it or say anything else.
No.
And we'll get to the storyline in a second. The wild card team, I have the Diamondbacks making it.
I do too.
I really like this Diamondbacks team, and we'll might as well just get to it. I really like that they got Corbin Burns, and I love the Josh Naylor pickup.
Yeah.
Like that offense is going to be very good. Now, my one question mark is Corbin Carroll going to come out from his sophomore slump? He hit 230 last year, which was .050 under what he had. He had 280 his rookie year. He slumped a little bit. There was a while where he just looked terrible. But he can't. The latter months he looked better, and I think he needs to have a better year this year.
Agreed. But that rotation, Merrill Kelly with Burns,
Eduardo Rodriguez, who's still solid, Corbin Burns.
That rotation is nasty.
Zach Gallen.
How could you forget Zach Gallen?
They're ace. That might be the best rotation in baseball. If healthy. I mean, obviously the Dodgers, and we'll get to them because what hasn't been said about the Dodgers, but that's an unreal rotation. And in any other division, I'd have this Diamondbacks team winning, like any other one. The NL, like AL East, literally any other one. I like this Diamondbacks team as like a top 3 team
easily
in MLB, but they're in the division with the Dodgers, and might as well get to the Dodgers. I just said, can the Dodgers just stop?
Yeah.
Can they stop? Because what are you going to do at this point? They got the number 1 prospect in baseball in Roki Sasaki. I don't agree with that because he hasn't pitched in America.
He's a question mark.
I think there's a difference between Japanese baseball and there's a difference between American baseball. But he's a damn good baseball player. He's a damn good pitcher. To add to Shohei Ohtani, to add to Tyler Glass now, to add to Yoshimoto Yamamoto,
and Cy Young winner Blake Snell, who
and
they signed.
I forgot about Blake Snell. Yeah, exactly. That is the best rotation in baseball, and
yes.
I don't think it's. I mean, it's the Diamondbacks are right there, but I mean, what are you gonna do?
Honestly,
what makes you pick against the Dodgers? Now, for me, it's Dave Roberts because I think Dave Roberts will come back to form at some point.
Yeah.
They had way too good of a team last year, and honestly, they probably got better.
Yes.
But now that Ohtani's gonna pitch again. I don't know how you stop it. We did a little segment on it a few weeks ago. This Dodgers team, they're sort of I don't want to say ruining the sport of baseball because it's not like fair, but if you go to the Dodgers, I'll say this: opening day for the Tigers in LA against the Dodgers against Shohei Ohtani, Screwball and Ohtani, which will be cinema, by the way. I don't have any faith in the Tigers to win a single game in LA.
Yeah.
Because how do you stop that? When Ohtani gets out, they have a really good bullpen. How do you stop that offense with Mookie Betts and Freeman and Ohtani and who's their catcher? Will Smith. Mookie Betts. It's like, how do you stop that?
Tasker Hernandez.
He re-signed there. Very good left fielder.
I do think their lineup is not as deep as I think they're also top. I mean,
like I said, I think the Braves have the best, but the problem is the Braves overall roster. But the problem is, I think the Dodgers have the best players in their lineup. Freeman, Ohtani, Betts. How are you going to stop that top three?
Right. It's honestly
Tasker Hernandez, who had a very good year last year. Will Smith, another underrated catcher.
I think will cost them is heart. I think they're going in there think they just walk in and win the World Series, and that's not how it happens. That's what October, anything can happen. It's who wants it the most, and I think the Dodgers will get they'll have a come to Jesus kind of series. I think I can see them losing in the division round, as well as I can see them win the World Series.
We talked about if they lose a series, it's a failure.
Yeah, truly.
Like if they go 1-2 any time, that's a failure.
And I can see them kind of starting out, and you might not remember this, but the big three in Miami of Chris Bosh, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, they started off extremely slow, extremely sluggish. And I can see the Dodgers kind of coming out that way too.
NBA talk from Eric. I never thought I'd see it.
Go Bobcats. That's last time. Is Emeka Okafor still playing?
No.
That's
not.
Last time I followed basketball. That's how long it's been since I followed basketball.
Yeah. Well, that.
New Orleans Hornets.
Now they're the Pelicans, and actually the Hornets moved to Charlotte. But they gave a new team to New Orleans. But I don't see anybody. Well, I shouldn't say that, but this Dodgers team it's crazy how much talent they have. At some point they might be up there with one of the most talented teams of all time.
Yeah, I agree.
Like you had Murders Row Yankees in the 20s.
This might give them a run.
This might give them a run of how good this team is, especially with Ohtani, who's going to be pitching again, and maybe he regresses a little bit hitting because of that. That's also a thing, but he didn't in years prior, so I really don't.
It didn't seem to affect him.
Yeah. So real quickly, we have 3 more teams to talk about. Then we'll do our World Series prediction, and then we'll be done because we went through everything. The Rockies.
Do we even need to discuss the Rockies?
Yeah, I just said tank for Drew Burress. He's the number 1 pick in the draft for next year. He's one of the best college prospects in a long time. Outfielder from Georgia Tech. Just tank for him.
Yeah.
Charlie Blackmon retired. They still have Nolan Jones, I think, but he hasn't been the same. Ryan McMahon, Elias Diaz,
Chris Bryant.
Oh gosh,
yeah, exactly.
One of the worst contracts. Not just for the team, for the player.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about shooting yourself in the foot. He got traded from the Cubs to the Giants, made a run, And then I think that was that the year that the Giants won like 100 games?
I think so.
I think that
I
was
believe
when,
so.
and then the Giants fell off, and so did Bryant. So I feel bad for the guy because he was fun to watch in Chicago, but he has not been the same.
No, show himself. He's yeah.
For me, and then for the Giants, I said they're kind of meh. They're kind of just there.
I do like the Adames
The Adames
signing.
is a really nice addition. But it's not enough to beat out the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, or the Padres.
Everyone's at this point. You're fighting for second place, and it's
Yeah, and
even that will be tough.
Even
with
the
the
second place
Diamondbacks.
will be tough this year, maybe even third.
Padres seem to be in rebuild mode.
Yep. Since the Padres find some level of consistency, I said, can players like Cronenworth or Machado, are they going to decline due to age, and can Jackson Merrill blossom even more? He had a very good rookie campaign.
Yeah, but outside of those guys, they're kind of
They're definitely on the decline. I don't think they make the playoffs, but I would not be surprised if they get close or barely make it. The problem with me, I just think the NL is way too good.
yes. NL is stacked. Absolutely
I
stacked.
just have a good feeling about the 3 wild card teams already, and I have all 3 of them winning 90-plus games. I have the Diamondbacks winning 90-plus, and the Mets and the Phillies.
There.
So
It's NL's tough. It's a tough league to play right now.
yeah. All right, so that is all 30 MLB teams overview and our predictions. Now we're going to predict the World Series. Eric, I want you to go first.
All right, I have. This might shock you. The Atlanta Braves beating the Baltimore Orioles in 5 games.
Really?
Yes, I think. I mean, the AL.
You think the Orioles pull through?
I do.
I actually, you know what the funny thing is? That was my World Series last year.
I do remember seeing that.
I picked the Orioles to win, but I picked that World Series last year. So
Yeah, I have them finally getting over the hump. The young kids will get together, and I think there's something exciting about youth in October that just it's I think youth and exuberance and will wins out, and I think this year in a very weak American League, I think the Orioles will overtake the league. And the Braves, I have them beating the Dodgers, kind of similar to how they did in 2021, where it's heavy underdogs, cards stacked against them. But, again, heart wins every time.
There you go. My prediction out of the American League, I have the Texas Rangers. I love this Rangers team. They're going to be healthy. They're stacked. I think Corey Seager and Marcus Semien. I mean, this whole team slept on, in my opinion. They won a World Series 2 years ago. They're very, very, very talented. The only reason why they didn't last year is because they were so banged up. It was historically bad. And I think their pitching staff is going to be fine. But their offense, Adolis Garcia is going to go back to form at third base. I mean, Jake Berger and Josh Young is a great duo out there. And their infield is stacked. So I really like this Rangers team. From the NL, I have the Philadelphia Phillies.
Ugh,
I have the Phillies beating the Dodgers in 7 games. Now, I'll say this. The Phillies have the Braves number in the playoffs. For some reason, whenever it gets to October, the Braves are good, but when they play the Phillies just seem to not stop hitting
Citizens
baseball.
Bank Park is electric in October.
It's an unbelievable atmosphere, and the Phillies just have their number, and I think that this is the year the Phillies, they make it to the World Series again, but I think Texas wins it. I think the Rangers are going to win the World Series again for the second time in 3 years. I think this is such a talented offense. I don't think they're the best team, but they have a ton of experience, a lot like the Phillies. The AL is so weak. I think the Orioles are going to be very good, and I think they end up beating the Orioles in the ALCS. And in terms of the NL, not having the Dodgers or the Braves, I'm going based on the fact that I have the Dodgers losing them in the NLCS, and I have the Phillies beating the Braves in the NL DS. I have the Phillies not winning the division, though. But
No.
For some reason, the Braves just struggle playing in Philadelphia in October.
In October in general. Historically,
They had
Atlanta's
in my opinion, the Braves should have another World Series with how much talent they've had, but they've just been unlucky. They will get another one, and maybe it is this year. But I think the Texas Rangers, I think this is the year, once again, that they pull through and they get 2 rings in 3 years and maybe start a dynasty down there in Texas because a new one just died. So
Yes.
But that is our massive MLB episode, all going on 2 hours.
Has it been that long?
You had a front and side thing of notes. I had 3 pages on Google Drive. Shout out for Jess for producing this and sitting in on this 2-hour show and adjusting the cameras. And shout out the boys out there in Cleveland. Hopefully the Rockets will maybe get it done. It's been a long time, so we'll see if they can do it with the men's side. The women's side, they made it a few years ago. But that'll be it for episode 131. Be sure to check out all of our socials on Instagram, Spotify, and check out our TikTok as well.
Subscribe, rate, review.
That's right. Hit the push notification bell. Do all that good stuff that Logan tells you to do. And we will see you next week for a massive March Madness episode.
3-hour episode.
It'll be not that long. We'll probably have a TV out in the corner watching the games because the games will be going on when we record. But I want to thank Eric for coming by.
Thank you for having me.
Talking baseball for a few hours. And, it was a fun episode. And I look forward to opening day. It's only a few weeks away.
2 weeks from today, I believe.
The best sport. The best sport there is coming soon. So
yes.
That'll be it for episode 131 of the Ball and Beats podcast. We will be back next week once again. And we'll have a big March Madness episode for you guys. So thank you all for listening and sharing, and be sure to show it to your friends. And thank you all. We'll see you next week.